Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. In the next half hour, you'll obtain insights and tools to transform your life using the biblical principles found in the 12-step program. We believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience because we all have struggles in life. Struggles with addictions, food, depression, anxiety, and relationships, to name a few. You'll be encouraged to see how others have found a new way of life with hope for the future through life recovery. Your host is Steve Arterburn, founder of New Life Ministries and Women of Faith, author of over 100 books, and teaching pastor at Northview Church in Carmel, Indiana, one of the 20 largest churches in America. Steve is the co-editor of the Life Recovery Bible, the #1 selling recovery Bible. With over 3 million copies sold, this is the Bible given to inmates by Prison Fellowship and the Pew Bible for the Salvation Army. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for joining me for Life Recovery Today. You know, anybody can lose weight. I mean, some people lost 1,000 pounds. They just never kept it off. And we're going to be talking to Mary Lou Caskey, who has kept it off for 18 years. That's when I met her, 18 years ago. But first, I want to share with you a couple of things about this 4th step. That we would take the time to make a searching, not superficial, but searching and fearless. Well, maybe even a better word is courageous, because it is kind of scary to look at ourselves. Inventory of ourselves. Now, when I inventory something, let's just say I do a casual inventory of the refrigerator at home, I am noticing that I have some things there that I don't need to get more of, and I notice some things that, we're really good at saving leftovers until we need to throw them out and not eating them. So when I inventory the refrigerator, I'm seeing the good stuff, and I'm also seeing some things that need to be taken care of. Same thing when we do a searching and fearless inventory of ourselves. We just sit down and we say, hey, let's look at some of the positive things about the way God has made me and what I've done with it. And then let's look at some of the negative things. Let's look at my strengths. Let's look at my weaknesses. Let's look at a few patterns that I've established and some habits. That's what it's all about when we do a searching and fearless inventory. You know, Jesus talked to some folks, and he was quite upset with them because all they ever did was inventory the outside of the cup. And they would go to great lengths to make the outside of the cup look really, really good. And Jesus said, you know, you ought to really be working on the inside of that cup, and it's awfully filthy. How many times through our recovery or our attempts at recovery have we done nothing more than essentially manipulate others by the image that we project, the dishonesty that we show? How many times have we looked at all the ways we look good, but oh boy, do we ever feel so bad? So I want to encourage you, maybe it's not a big deal, maybe it's a huge deal. Sit down with a piece of paper and just put strengths, weaknesses at the top and start to think about your life. Maybe it'll be the beginning of a new life, a changed life. When we come back, I'll introduce you to somebody I met 18 years ago. She is recovering.
Are you going through your struggles alone? Do you want someone to talk to help you through your pain? Do you feel like a failure when you relapse again, telling yourself, next time will be different? Don't walk this path alone anymore. Join a life recovery group today and be a person that your friends and family can be proud of. God created us to be in community, and we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country, and if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. Life Recovery brings recovery to you, right where you are. You'll take a journey with others to find healing and freedom. Whether you're looking to join a group or start one, New Life Ministries is here for you. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverytoday.net.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. You know, I've talked often about a repurposed, forgiven life. And Mary Lou Caskey is one of those people, I think, that just was going through life with some purpose and has repurposed that life maybe more than once, and it has impacted so many people. 18 years ago, we were doing a seminar called Lose It for Life, and Mary Lou came and she lost or began to lose the weight, but she gained a lot of other things. Mary Lou, welcome to Life Recovery Today. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks for the chance to be here, Steve.
Well, let me just mention to everybody that you are a life coach, and you, with other Christian coaches, you're helping writers, you're helping speakers, and in this one category, and I'll let you tell us about that, of highly sensitive people. You work with Sherry Gregory, and she wrote this book, The Sensitive and Strong, a guide for highly sensitive persons and those who love them. Before we talk about anything else, what is a highly sensitive person, and how did you get involved in helping them?
Well, a highly sensitive person is a person that's wired a little bit differently. There's about 20% of us in the population. That includes me. And a few of the areas, as we might notice, that sensory stimulation really affects us more than others. Mm-hmm. We feel things very deeply. Mm-hmm. We are also tend to be very empathetic, and we pick up on nuances, and we need a little bit of time to process. We tend to continue to process things when someone else has already gone on. And so I've been friends and colleagues with Sherry for years, and then we just started doing the coaching and, you know, working with other coaches and speakers and writers in this topic, and it's quite a gift.
Well, you know, the Bible tells us that we need to make allowances for each other, and so if someone is married to a highly sensitive person, you know, some not understanding it might be critical, but really what I think we need to do, if we're married to a highly sensitive person, we need to make allowance for that, just as they will for us. Sure makes life a lot easier when we're cooperating with the certain things that show up in our lives. Mary Lou, tell us about your life 18 years ago and why you showed up at a Lose It for Life workshop.
Well, when I found out about Lose It for Life, I knew that I really needed to come. I knew I needed help. I'd been listening to New Life, and I was very grateful to be in counseling. And we'd had a lot of loss in our family. And we were about to have our first grandson. And I honestly wanted to be there for him and for my family. I didn't want another loss. And, you know, I would go ahead. Sorry, Steve.
Well, so loss, and then this highly sensitive person that you were, is that kind of what led to the overeating?
What led to the overeating was that I didn't like to feel things, especially if they were unpleasant or uncomfortable, and food would take care of that for me. And I had no idea that's what I was doing. I honestly just thought I was hungry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've known people that are quite overweight, and they've never really stopped to think of why. I heard one woman, she was probably 100 pounds overweight, and here's what she thought was the reason she was overweight, is that she loved food. Well, yes, you do, but she never dealt with the wounds, the past, the betrayal, the hurt, and why she needed food to taste so good and needed so much of it. Well, what happened to you 18 years ago that was so dramatic? Because we've had people come to Lose It for Life, and they haven't kept the weight off. A lot of people do. But almost every weight loss program stays operating because so many people relapse from it. You stayed the course. What happened that led you to that path?
Well, I stopped dieting, for one thing, and I stopped any of the dieting mindset. I didn't look at how long things took. I no longer used a scale. And more importantly than that, I continued in counseling, and I started making doing little things that would make a big difference. Like I would pause before I'd want to eat, even just for a split second. And I might ask myself, could I be angry, tired, lonely, bored? And since I had not allowed myself to feel feelings before then, I really didn't have any idea which one of those ones that I was. But I started to recognize, this might be something different than physical hunger. And those things, help me.
Oh, that's so good. So how much weight did you lose and keep off? And how long did it take you?
Well, just like I said, I'm not a time person. I'm not a scale person. But it's been 8 sizes. And
Wow.
it took me quite a while. There was really no biological reason that it took as long as it did. But I know now, as I look back, that was the timing that I was ready to be thinner, because that took an adjustment for me. So.
Well, just along those lines, I've known people. And by the way, if you wanted a copy of Lose It for Life, we have it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But I knew some people that read the book and they decided to deal with some of the painful issues in their lives before they even attempted weight loss. And so they were keeping their best friend food to kind of help them as they dealt with those things that they had overlooked. And I know this, that you didn't just stop with losing the weight. And it's so great that it was slow, because as you've heard me say so many times, that's how you keep weight off, is you lose it slowly. But when did you start to sense that maybe God had a calling on your life and something special was going to happen? Because you have helped so many people. I'll tell you, us just showing your picture to folks and the loss of those 8 sizes, you've really inspired and motivated so many people just from that to lose weight and get your act together. But you didn't just lose the weight, you started something else. Talk about that.
Well, I started leading some Lose It for Life groups, and then I went back to school to become a life coach, and did speaking and writing and a variety of things that I think sometimes what would make the biggest difference is I would talk about food and weight loss so different than other Christians had ever heard before. And they were finding that refreshing. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a break, but when we come back, I'd like you to talk about some of those messages that you started to give that people hadn't heard before. And then I'd like you to spend a little bit of time with 1, 2, 3 helpful tools or hints that could help somebody that struggled with their weight, and we'll do that right after we come back from this break. Maybe you have struggled with weight all your life, and you're waking up to the fact that it's some kind of pain, wound, emotion that's driving this consumption, because you never ever get enough. You never are fulfilled. The Emotional Freedom Workshop that New Life does could help you in an amazing way to deal with the emotions that are underlying the eating. Look into that at newlife.com or calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I'll be back right after this.
It's hard to find a trusted friend when you're in crisis. Someone who's been there and understands, but who also has the training and skill to give you practical help. Family, friends, and churches want to help, but often they're not equipped to care for those dealing with problems like addiction and pornography, infidelity, anger, depression. New Life Ministries is here to provide help and hope in life's hardest places. We're not focused on making people feel better. We're focused on helping people do the work that will help them be better. At New Life, we have resources available to help you, like books, DVDs, CDs, workshops, and our network of licensed counselors. If you need help, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and begin your new life today.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for joining me. You know, we've heard for so long someone say who got a problem, I can quit, I can stop. And when it comes to weight loss, you hear some people say, well, I'm going to lose this next month and everything will be great. Well, it's never just about stopping. It's never just about losing. You have to start something new. You have to come along, look at your life, see where God might want to lead you based on where you've been. And Mary Lou was quite overweight, came to lose it for life, and what a wonderful life that she's developed in helping other people, not obsessing over herself. But she shared with us that she gave some messages that people weren't used to hearing. They were a little bit shocked by that. And so Mary Lou, what were some of those messages early on that you would just say and people, well, I've never heard that before. What were those?
A couple of phrases that would really catch people's attention when I talk about being at peace with food. And they'd say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You can possibly be at peace with food? And that would catch their attention. And another one would be when I'd say, food no longer calls my name.
I love that. Now, what does that mean to you? Food no longer calls my name.
Oh, it used to call my name for anything where, if I didn't like being bored, which I still don't like being bored, but I don't get the call of, this pull to go eat when I don't like what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you would say that people couldn't believe? They couldn't believe that, it didn't mean that much, it didn't call your name. Anything else that you were saying that they loved to hear, hadn't heard it before?
Well, some of the things that are really hard for me to talk about that people really didn't hear people admit to was how uncomfortable it can be to become thin after being heavy. Yeah. And kind of this way of liking that attention and hating it at the same time. Yes. And, just really admitting what it's like to struggle with that tension as a Christian woman.
Oh, I'm sure it was extremely difficult. It's having been over 60 pounds heavier than now, I know what it feels like to be very large and to feel invisible. And then when you lose the weight, not so invisible anymore. And just meaning that people didn't acknowledge me or pay attention to me. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, but I was actually more uncomfortable with the type of attention I'd get when I was thin and the things that would go through my head. Right. And my mind. And so I didn't realize I would just gain the weight back because I didn't know how to deal with that. Yeah.
I had a very touching letter from someone who has been single all of her life. And she said, I have always been so tempted to be sexual with just anybody that I really feel like I can't lose the weight because I don't want to ever be attractive to anyone. And so I'm just going to continue to keep this weight on. And then she said, but I'll always be alone. Now, how did you deal with that uncomfortable attention, being a totally different person visually to other folks? How did you deal with it?
Well, I started talking about it rather than keeping it a secret. Just like that woman found you approachable enough to tell you that. I think I might even come up and told you something like that at Lose for Life, which I was so introverted at that time, and I'm very much wired as an extrovert. I told my husband, he's great to talk to, therapists, and just kind of normalizing it and realizing that, this is something that is kind of a love-hate for more people than just me.
Well, one of the things that a person with a weight loss problem struggles with is what are they going to do after they lose the weight? Or there is something that they would love to do. There is a role or a position, but they'll never have that because no one would hire them because they're so overweight. And it's so sad because they've got something to give. They've got purpose and meaning, but they just don't know how to lose the weight and keep it off. If someone came to you and said, Mary Lou, tell me the most important thing I need to do to get started on weight loss, a process that wouldn't just take the weight off, but would transform my life, what would you say to that person?
I'd say talk to someone who's trained to know how to help you.
Yeah.
Someone who will listen to you and understands that, just like the things that we were just talking about, that would not shock them. They wouldn't judge you. And be honest about the thoughts and feelings you have about what you're eating or the choices that you make, without any judgment, and a lot of compassion. Those things help more than anything. It's really important.
Yeah, so important. And I really think this issue of support, you really can't do it alone. Where did you get your support as you were losing the weight and keeping it off?
Well, like I said, I did come to Lose It for Life and then came to other New Life events. For me, one-on-one with counseling was really, really important, because I just, even though I'm very much enjoy groups, I just really appreciate talking about more private things with just one person.
Absolutely.
Than in a group. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to put it all together, and then now you're helping and reaching out and coaching other folks. How did you get into being a life coach for so many people?
Well, I had so many people that would tell me I'm a very curious person. I ask a lot of questions. And then because of my story and my story of losing so much weight and keeping it off, and the way I would talk so passionately, they would just say, you ought to be a coach. So I looked up, Christian coaching, and found the school that was a good fit for me, and learned how to get a message out there, and learned how to, the business of coaching, and then, started transitioning into helping people that way. And so it's just really neat how I've gotten to do such a variety of things that I would have never been able to do had I not gone to the path of recovery.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful.
I have to assume that you couldn't have had much credibility coaching unless you had a body that looked fairly fit. And so I'm glad that you got the weight off and you took on this new role. Mary Lou, if somebody wanted to email you or contact you, do you have an email address that they could have?
Well, I've got a website at, MaryLouCaskey.com. That's MaryLouCaskey.com, and there's a contact.
All right. Well, I thank you for being with us. I hope folks will get in touch with you. If you didn't get that down, you can ask about it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I'll be back right after this.
Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. Weight loss, it really is important that you have a program that you can sustain, that you're moving to the next level all the time in whatever you're doing. Or you get stuck and then you get miserable and you start to eat again. I want to tell you about a really special help, and it's helped a lot of folks with a lot of different problems. I got this fantastic press release today, and here's what it said. It says that Prison Fellowship has just hit a milestone of giving 100,000 Life Recovery Bibles to incarcerated folks in just 9 months. That's all it took. I want to show you, here's one. It's large print because eyewear is a little bit of a problem in most prisons and lighting. But there's the English version, and then there is a Spanish version. Now let me tell you why I'm talking about this. One, I'm so thrilled that any prisoner who asks for a Bible, Prison Fellowship, the Bible they chose to give is the Life Recovery Bible. But if you have struggled with weight, here in this Bible is a 12-step program, but we did something really special just for you. Before Dave Stoop, my best friend who passed away March the 10th, before he died, he created a workbook for folks who have eating problems. And it's just simply the Life Recovery Workbook for Eating Disorders. And so you get the Bible and you will love it. If you've needed direction, if you needed a program, you will love the Bible. And then the workbook just helps you deal with each step along the way. Because as we've said 1,000 times, it's not just about losing the weight. It's about gaining meaning and purpose and fulfillment. All of a sudden, food has a much less role in your life. Why do most people eat? Well, there are two reasons: depression and anxiety. If you've got this churning anxiety and it always leads you to food, you're eating to feel. I want to tell you, when you transform your life and you're starting to eat to think, you're using food as a way to function better mentally, it changes everything. And no longer is food your borderline personality friend that says it loves you, but boy does it turn on you in the end. Well, that's it for today. I hope and pray something we've said is important to you. I hope it's helpful. We'll see you next time right back here on Life Recovery Today.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. We hope this program has helped you integrate God's truth and wisdom into your recovery journey. This program is brought to you by New Life Ministries, and it's your support that keeps this program on the air. When you contact us for any reason, be sure to let us know that you watch on NRB. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to liferecoverytoday.net. Please join us again next week for more Life Recovery Today.